Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Abram J. Spirits Divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. Um, we're gonna talk about Abraham, the call of Abraham. God had promised a great nation to Abraham. Abraham gonna be a blessing to be a blessing. It's gonna come from Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 9. So God called Abraham and promised to bless him and make him into a great nation. Now Abraham had came from the bloodline of Noah. Now see, all this happened right after Noah. And when God had destroyed the nation and he had them to get off the boat, he said, I need y'all to go multiply. So Abraham is from Noah's bloodline, his children. So after the flood, Abraham's father, Terah, had died and he lived 205 years. That's a long time. So Abraham brother had a son named Lot. So the Lord had said to Abraham, go from your country. Now God is calling him. And a lot of time you move from your state to another state to start your calling. That's what Jesus, when Jesus started his ministry, he left home and he started moving around, starting his ministry. And so God is calling Abraham for his calling. So the Lord has said to Abraham, go from your country, from your people, your father, your household, to the land that I will show you. Now God telling Abraham, look, I need you to leave from your country. I need you to come over here. I'm gonna show you this land. I'm gonna give you offspring. So I need you to come over here. I need you to leave your household, leave your father. Cause see, God had told Abraham his father couldn't come. So leave your father household and come to the land that I'm gonna show you. So God had promised Abraham a land, a nation, and blessing. So God promised him God promised him a land, God promised him a nation, and God promised to bless him. So that's three things right there. A land, a nation, and blessing. To a land that I will show you. So after stating that he wanted Abraham to leave his country and his relatives, God had promised Abraham a land. God promised Abraham land of Canaan. And God gonna be very faithful to the Israelites because of Abraham. Now I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And we know Abraham, he his history. So his name is great. And God, and don't that sound familiar? When God did that to David, I will make your name great. When he had finally became to be king. So Abraham's name is history, is blessed, because that's all you talk about. Abraham is a blessing to the whole nation. So God was to make Abraham through his descendant great nation. Now God will bless Abraham, and God will make Abraham name great. God will make Abraham blessing. Now these promises was the very thing that great kings and leaders of Abraham time will have longed for themselves. They wanted for themselves, but God had given to Abraham. Now he said everybody else in the nation, gonna be blessed. But Abraham, these is leaders and kings. But Abraham was still over everything. You near Abraham, you blessed. You in that same lane with Abraham, you blessed. So I will bless those who bless you. That's why I was just saying, anybody that's around him, is blessed. And whoever curse you, I will curse them. Whoever, all the people on earth will be blessed through you. Now see, Abraham he just gonna be a blessing. You know, you could just stand. You remember I had put out when his Lot. You know, they had to move from each other because Abraham rich, and this like God said, anybody that's around you is rich gonna just be a blessing. So Lot was a blessing just to be under Abraham. So where he had to move because they, Canaan is not a big land, they say. But so he had so much stuff. Abraham had so much stuff, and that's when Lot had to move down the street to Solomon. So when God had called him, Abraham had to move out. Abraham moved out on faith, you know, from his land finally to Canaan. And so God then established a covenant with Abraham. Now God said it would work. So now God wanna establish the covenant, to have everything in writing. So then when Moses come around, Moses gonna wind up reading this covenant to everyone else. So telling him that he will find a great nation. Not only would, this nation be blessed, but God said, but the other nation of the earth will be blessed through Abraham. Now, Abraham is going to be a blessing to himself and to everyone else. And his nephew Lot going to follow him everywhere he go, and he will be blessed. So Abraham had went as the Lord had told him, and Lot had went with him. So Abraham was 75. See, when God had called Abraham, he was 75 years old already. So that's why he won't be able to fulfill, what God had wanted him to do, because he was in his age already. So when God had called Abraham, he was 75 years old. Abraham was told to leave his old life, and go to his new life, his new future. So God had told Abraham, I need you to leave your old life. Leave your old life, and I need you to come over here. I need you to come over here to Canada. Because see, this land right here that you in, this a land that your family gonna be in. Your offspring gonna be in. This gonna be the future right here. So he had took his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot and all the possession that they had accounted and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they had set out for the land in Canaan and arrived there. So they arrived to Canaan, to their new home, their new future, and they left the old life behind. They left the old life. Now God had plans to develop a nation of people that who would call his own. Now he had called him from his land, self-centered city, to further religion. Now history of Israel, this small land had given to me many. Abraham had extremely impact of world history. He impact history. That's all. They make songs and everything else to Abraham being blessed. So Abraham had traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah and Salmon. So at this time, Canaanites were in the land. So God had called Abraham to leave his home, behind and go to the land of God that will show you to him. So God also gave Abraham great and powerful promises that he will bless. He will bless him. Excuse me. Now God made big promises to Abraham. Now this is a big promise. He told Abraham, you're gonna be blessed. You're gonna be blessed. And make him a great nation. Now he's gonna be blessed. He's gonna have a great nation. And Abraham had believed that God, and went and he entered the land of Canaan, which would become the promised land of his offspring. So the Lord appeared to Abraham and said to your offspring that I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. So God planned for Abraham's offspring, which would be the Israelites. So from there that he went on um towards the hill, east of Bethel and pitches tent, with Bethel on the west and on the east. Now there he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. So Abraham, his people, they settled there. Now he left the rest of his family behind, so he still took Lot and his wife and his family. So therefore, sometime while the east of Bethel, Abraham built an altar to the Lord and called on his name there. So Abraham started worshiping Yahoo in this place. So then Abraham set out and continued towards now. So God had promised to have great things for Abraham. And God had called Abraham to leave his people in the land behind. And he also had promised to bless Abraham and to make his descendant into a great nation who will one day occupy the land of Canaan. Abraham's offspring will make history. They done made history. So God had Abraham to see the land first before he entered. So the altar Abraham building is for praying, worship, and as reminder of God promise to bless Abraham. Also help remember that God was at the center of his life. And when God Abraham that he was when God had called Abraham, he was 75 years old. So mean he was already in his age to pursue what God had wanted him to do. So God had made a promise that he would be blessed. His name would be great. He would have a great nation. Because the Israelites gonna be 2 million people. The whole nation will be blessed. The whole nation will be blessed. Abraham, gonna have a great nation. Even though he ain't gonna see it, but his offspring will see it. Isaac children, great children. Abraham's name gonna be blessed. Anybody that's around Abraham is gonna be blessed. He gonna have a great nation. And the Israelites gonna be about 2 million. 2 million. So God's plan will be history. It was history. So God's plan was written out for Abraham, but he was 75 years old. So then he got older, so we know that God always have a backup plan, set for Abraham offspring. So the Israelite who God had got glory from, God got glory off the Israelite, So the whole nation was blessed due to Abraham. So that was amazing. After the storm, after the flood, God had wiped out the whole city. God told Noah the family, I need you to go multiply. So that's where Abraham came from. Noah the children, came from Noah the children. I need you to multiply. And so Abraham was living somewhere else. And God called him. I need you to come to Canaanite. And he obeyed. He obeyed and he went. He didn't ask no question. He grabbed his family and he left. So now his father couldn't come with him because his father didn't love God. He wasn't on the same page with God. So Abraham gonna be blessed. Abraham, the whole nation gonna be blessed. Lot gonna live with Abraham, and any time Lot is around Abraham, he's gonna be blessed. Lot had got so blessed, so he was buying so much stuff, so he had to move across the street because Abraham had a lot of stuff, and his nephew Lot had a lot of stuff to where both of them couldn't even stay under the same roof. So that's the story on Abraham, from being from having a strong faith, being obedient to God had blessed him. You know, bless him to be a blessing. You know, all the nation is blessed. Anybody around him is blessed. You know, due to his faith and his obedience. You know, so that's all the word I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed and safe night. I'll see you on the next video.